Okay, good morning. This is day number 157. Describe a day or thought in the life of schizophrenic. My name is Dominic. Uh, day 17 of these videos, I express why I call myself a schizophrenic rather than targeted individual. And on day 45, I give the reason why I make these videos, and then there's the last 3 minutes of the video, last 12 minutes or so. And then day 138, I give the symptoms that I experience as a schizophrenic. I experienced schizophrenia, but I don't believe I am diseased or crazy, but that I'm subject to what NATO determines is cognitive war and what the chief Indian of intelligence describes as neurostrike weaponry. I give little thoughts and ideas every day to describe schizophrenia. I had been reading out of books, but I don't read as much now because I'm in a library class and taking doing some volunteer work for archive assistance. So I trying to go into that area of the. Oh, so okay. So starting off today, talking about how the Targeted Justice released a article about how Iran, asking the question, how is it possible that all of Iran's leaders could be killed so quickly by the United States? And like I say, because of the schizophrenia, I'm not even sure that what's taking place is not some sort of big brother uh, spectacle, but in the event that people are really dying as leaders of Iran, and it's very possible that they are, uh, so I say, like, okay, if they are dying, then they have a satellite tracking system that is on your brain, and that's what Targeted Justice was saying, and it can determine where you are just by location, or a day and time and a location. It can pinpoint anybody that was there or something. And so I could say that they're tracking everyone continuously, probably through like some sort of massive quantum computer or something, some sort of crazy computing system. And so I've experienced it where they've tracked me on airplanes, they've tracked me underwater, uh, beaming voices in my head everywhere I went for about 6, 7 years or whatever. And so, like I say, like they have that system, and once you know they have that system, you have to ask questions like, well, how did 9/11 happen? If they had, probably had that system going on then, and then it's like an intelligence test with, like, especially these wars and everything. It's like an intelligence test where it's like, well, you think like there's like a global system that has these tracking devices, and you have to ask yourself like, well, how real is everything that's going on around you? And I've discussed John Kirby in previous videos talking about, there Russia was going to start a war with Ukraine through fake explosions, fake victims, fake mourners, and even fake corpses. Okay, so like once you know that they have that type of technology, you have to ask yourself, can they create a series of those events and masquerade it as a war? Or, can they start real wars while trying to make you think it's fake or something like that, messing with your reality. So everything is like, can they start real wars to create spectacle of violence, to take the eye off something, to take the eye off of the fake wars? And the fake wars could be cover for a ruse for uh, breakaway civilization and funneling money into those things. Okay, so yeah. But anyways, Targeted Justice asked, like, how could they target all the Iran leaders so quickly unless they knew how to track them? And so I just wanted to say that. All right, I was going to talk about uh, Timothy Chalamet. Sometimes they refer to me as different actors. I obviously don't look like Timothy Chalamet, but sometimes there was this kid when I was in kid at Pasadena Boys and Girls Club named Tim, who I stood up for when he was being bullied, and they like to call me Tim and him Tim, and they like to interchange things, and like Adam Sandler was supposed to be me, I'm supposed to be a lot of different actors and stuff, and it's like a schizophrenia thing where like everything is me, everything is something, or you know. Anyways, they used Timothy Chalamet. This he did the thing about the ballet and everything, and it was based on a broken thought in my head, and they were calling Timothy Chalamet arrogant, and the Academy Award people were calling him arrogant and saying that he's so arrogant. That's why they didn't vote for him, and that's supposed to be me because they're calling me arrogant because I want to work at the Academy Award Museum as a volunteer, and I don't know if I'm going to do that, but I I think like it might be a nice thing to do, at least for as a secondary thing in addition to what I'm doing now and in the summer, you know. So that's what my thought were. But so they were saying that I was arrogant and they weren't going to hire me or they weren't going to let me in or something. And so, but I was thinking to myself like, they're invading my brain, taking out broken thoughts, and it's like what epitomizes arrogance to me is like not respecting someone's boundaries, and not respecting someone's well-being, mental and physical well-being, and entering into their brain and plucking out information to use for your purposes, however you want, and gaslighting them and everything. And like that's a pretty arrogant thing to do, but they're calling me the arrogant one, and so that's you know. All right, so I don't know if I'm arrogant, but I don't think I am. But they gaslight me all the time, trying to make me out to be some sort of ego maniac, even though I'm not. Okay, but that's like the schizophrenia. They tell you like, "Oh, you egomaniac, you think you're the center of everything," and yeah. Okay, so the the schizo managers seem to think I got a lot out of this program over the last 15 years of their onslaught of information and tsunami of information. And I suppose I did get something out of it, or some degree something out of it. But a lot of what I got out of it was in spite of the onslaught of information and environmental controls and abuses and stuff. And I got something very importantly and powerful with my mom and my dad because they let me live here. And so that was like all in spite of the program. Okay, so it was like, that's like something that I just did on my own or whatever. And so that's very nice. And I can't really complain about that aspect of it. But, I didn't really get a whole lot out of the schizophrenia. I don't have a lot to show for it. But, I did have a lot of time to like read. So I guess the reading and playing with my mom and my dad was very nice. Okay. So, all right. So I was listening to a program on the TV yesterday, and it was this gentleman from Latino background who was pro Trump, and he was saying that the 24 election was a uh, referendum on immigration. And I actually think it's a misnomer to say that the 24 election was a referendum on immigration. There was about 15 to 20 issues that people vote for in those elections, and immigration is just one of them. And even if you thought that immigration referendums exist, I don't think that what has transpired since the 24 election would put the Republicans in a position to think that they're in uh, with the regular sentiments on immigration by the American public. I think the American public maybe saw how ugly their position was, if there was their position, like to have a mass immigration or deportation force and kick people out of the country and send them all over the place, and it was like not respecting due process or anything, or judge or, or court systems or anything. And so it was like I don't think that that is really in line with people's position anymore. And so, yeah, so I think if you did have a fictional referendum on immigration, I don't believe that the Republican position would win at this point, but maybe I'm completely wrong. But yeah, so even if you had a fictional referendum on immigration, I think that the Democrats might win that uh, referendum if they came out with a clear position. Okay, so I had this thought the other day about like gorillas and the universe. Like if you look at the gorilla and you think of like if you think of the universe and the universe as the gorilla, the poop as or the universe as the gorilla, the comets and asteroid as the poop, and the what was it? Our ignorance and evil is the zoo, and the spectators are the conscious complicity. So if you take all of that together and you think of yourself like like yeah, I was just thinking like what happened to spark this was like I was laying in bed and I had found this feeling of like comet go by my eyeballs or whatever, and I was like thinking, oh whoa, okay, so like the universe just threw that comet at us or something, maybe an alien force or something. And I was thinking like maybe it's like a threat or something, or maybe it's an anger, or maybe it's dissatisfaction, or it's just like a swatting away a fly or something. And so I was thinking like, what if the universe just like it just has like this visceral reaction to us sometimes, where it's just like throw that poop at them, like the uh, gorillas do at the zoo. And so that's what I was thinking, and maybe it's all because of our evil, you know, like the evil creates the zoo and all that, and so yeah, so uh, our disregard, basically the evil in this situation would be like basically our disregard for life itself on the planet, and so or life in the universe and everything. So okay, so I was thinking like the universe was saying like get rid of those clowns and stuff. Uh, all right, so I was thinking, speaking of like evil, and you know, targeted justice talking about the Iran strikes and like a system in place to track us all and potentially kill anybody it wants through extrajudicial assassinations and stuff. And I was thinking to myself like, uh, I was thinking about people using their talent to build life-sucking structures and oppressive systems is something many people have done throughout time. And it's like, if we just took our human talents and we applied them to benefit the world and human beings and society and the greater experiences of life or whatever, instead of creating these like soul sucking, life sucking systems. And it's like, I'm not saying that the system we have now is entirely soul sucking or life sucking or whatever, but there are a lot of like soul sucking, life sucking things about the world and Earth and everything. And anyways, so I was thinking like maybe if people could use their talents to create nice and benefit people or whatever, and so um, not everybody does that, but some people do that. Okay, so it's like, but sometimes people go use their talents for destructive purposes. Uh, using your talent to like just take a look at Oppenheimer using his talent to build the atomic bomb or whatever, and it was part of a soul sucking system of war that led him in there to do that, and it wasn't necessarily his fault or whatever, but it's just like our talents get you. I thought that was an interesting movie because it was like expressing how this guy's talent got used for something that was kind of anti, anti, in, antithetical of antithetical of intelligence, right? using intelligence to kill everything. Like that's just crazy. Maybe that's like the universe trying to, like a dark force trying to take our intelligence and smash it. Maybe that's like a, I don't know, maybe it's a mind programming from an alien or something. I don't know. Trump wouldn't even pass as a bad comedian, yet his bad comedy uh, won him the presidency. And I was struck by that. It was like, I thought that yesterday, and it was like, this guy's such a bad comedian, and he wouldn't even pass as a bad comedian in comedy. He'd be kicked out. He'd be like, "What? That joke is ridiculous. We can't have that joke here." You're, and then it turns out like he's a bad comedian who won the presidency. And so then I started thinking, maybe if comedians could be free comedians, you wouldn't have a situation where everyone would felt like the need to laugh at this jokester as president. But I don't know. All right, I think it's just stupidity why he's president. But I think I'm gonna stop there today. Yeah, I think I talked about everything, and so uh, I'm gonna check here because I think I had one more thing to say, but oh yeah, there's a lot of like, okay, so yeah, I didn't really talk about this, but I guess I could talk about it for a real brief second. But uh, since Trump came into office, and there's been a steady drumbeat for years and years and years about live the perfect life for the system. And it's like they're constantly trying to tell people to live perfect for the system, live perfect for the system, and like get the perfect job so you could have health care, or get the perfect job so you can send your kids to college, or get the perfect and be perfect in the job so you can keep the job, and tell everyone else to be perfect. And like, it's like constantly trying to like this race to perfection, perfect life for the system or whatever. And that's kind of like the drumbeat that's going on since Trump came into power like say 8 years ago. And he's like the culture generator. And like even through Trump, like we chastise him because he's not like a perfect guy. And so you say like, oh, Trump's not a perfect guy, so like be perfect. It's everything is like it's ridiculing the imperfection of Trump, or like Trump himself is ridiculing the imperfection of the lower class, or Trump is talking about the imperfection of the other leaders or something. Look at the mistake they made. Look what they did, and everything's about like live the. It's all part of this greater processing of like into your brain of like live perfect for the system, live perfect for the system, and so that's what I was thinking today, and so those are my thoughts today as a schizophrenic. Okay, goodbye.